What's up, everybody? Being that this is the first week of 2022 and I have gone over all of my lists for what was 2021 as far as movies and video games, it's time to do a couple of videos on what I'm anticipating over the next year, and hopefully most, if not all, of these movies and games that I'm going to be talking about will not get delayed. But in the way that the world is right now, let's not be too surprised, right? So I have 10 movies today that I'm going to be talking about that are my most anticipated movies of 2022, and tomorrow I'm going to do the same exact video with my top 10 video games that I'm anticipating for 2022. So be sure to hit the subscribe button so you do not miss any of that. And if I can get my graphics together, that video tomorrow might actually be the first video on my newly launching video game channel, but we will see, no promises. Now, I'm sure a lot more movies are going to be announced. There's probably a lot of them that are in production that they haven't really given any trailers or any kind of advertisement for that will quickly rise up onto this list and overtake some of these movies. But as far as what we know is supposed to be coming out in 2022, these are the ones that I'm looking forward to the most, starting off at number 10, which I will be honest is purely morbid curiosity, and that's going to be Avatar 2. Now, I like the original Avatar. I haven't seen it in years, so I don't know if that opinion would hold up today, but I always thought it was a really good movie. I thought it looked cool, it had a good story that is somewhat redundant of other movies that we've seen with that same storyline, but it's been redone because it does work. It's a good story. But I'm very intrigued. What about the story that James Cameron has in mind for the world of Avatar is so unbelievably awesome that he is basically dedicated the rest of his life to doing Avatar movies. We're never going to get, probably, any other movie or any other property from James Cameron before he leaves this earth, because he has 4 Avatar sequels planned for presumably like the next 8 years or so, assuming that they don't get delayed, assuming that we actually see Avatar 2 this year. And I'm just very curious. I'm curious what he has in mind. I'm curious what kind of technological advances he's planning to make, because he always seems to do some kind of a push like that. The first Avatar did a giant push for 3D cameras. So I'm just curious. That's really the biggest thing. I'm not somebody that I can't wait to see Avatar 2, to be completely honest with you. I'd rather he do something else. But I really want to see what he has in mind. I have no reason to doubt James Cameron. It's not a good business to be in, to doubt that man. But I just want to have that question answered. What is so amazing about the idea that you have for 4 sequels that we have to see this and can't see anything else from you? So hopefully this year we'll get the answer to that question. Number 9 is going to be Jurassic World Dominion. Now, I'm somebody that really enjoyed Jurassic World and really did not enjoy Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And I'm curious if getting Colin Trevorrow back as a director is going to change that and make it more on the quality level of Jurassic World. But the main thing that makes me interested in this is 2 things. One, you get your returning cast from the original Jurassic Park with Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum. And I believe Laura Dern's coming back, I could be wrong. But that interests me, what got them back finally all together for this movie. And also the premise, the fact that now dinosaurs are loose in the world. This is not just going to be about a park or an island. It's going to be about humans and dinosaurs coexisting and the chaos that ensues with that. So I haven't seen any footage. I haven't watched the little prologue that they've released. I haven't seen any kind of production stills or anything like that. It's just the cast and the premise alone that gets me kind of back into those classic Jurassic Park vibes, that I'm very curious and hopeful that this might be a return to form after what I consider to be a very disappointing follow-up in Fallen Kingdom. Number 8, I'll be getting here in a week or so, provided that they do not delay it, and I almost hate even speaking that into existence, but we've got Scream. Scream 2022, Scream 5, whatever the hell you want to call it, the newest chapter of the Scream saga. And I'm somebody who has always been a very casual Scream fan. I'm not nearly as a fanatic of this movie series or even the original film as most horror fans. I've given context to that numerous times. There's a pretty funny story involved with it, but nonetheless, I do like this film series quite a bit. I've grown to like it a lot more as I've gotten older, and I'm very curious what this 5th movie is going to be. It's the first one that does not have Wes Craven directing, and it's also does not have the writing of Kevin Williamson, which the last time we saw that was Scream 3. So the people that did Ready or Not, which is a movie from a couple years ago that I enjoyed quite a bit, have taken over this property, and they're doing something that we don't know yet to make it modernized, to bring it back into the fold, to make it relevant again. and I'm just very curious what it's going to be. I've heard rumblings that they're kind of going to peel away from the meta jokes and the very self-aware movie references and everything and tell more of a straightforward slasher story. I don't know if that's confirmed or if that was just something that might be misinterpreted in the tabloids. I have no idea, but I'm very curious what they're going to be able to do. This could be an awesome reinvention for the series, or this could be an absolute dud and we will say never touch Scream again without Wes Craven, and it's just going to die where it is. But trailers looked pretty decent. I like the cast, and it's a horror movie, slasher movie, 2 days after my birthday, so hopefully it's going to be a good birthday present. Number 7 was a movie that I just found out about doing some research for this list, and that is Operation Fortune. This is the newest Guy Ritchie film. Now, I'm somebody who's never been a huge Guy Ritchie fan. I'm not somebody that kind of followed him from Snatch and Lock, Stock, and I've just loved everything that he's done ever since. I think that there's movies that he's done that I've enjoyed. There's also been movies that I've watched that I haven't quite enjoyed, and his style typically either makes or breaks the movie. But he's had 2 movies in a row with The Gentleman and Wrath of Man last year that have made my top 10 of the year, and I've really enjoyed. So I'm kind of on a bit of a Guy Ritchie hot streak now, and this movie looks really fun. And there's already a trailer out for it. It kind of looks like Guy Ritchie's take on like a James Bond film, to where you've got Jason Statham and a couple other people trying to take out this bad guy played by Hugh Grant, and they're hiring Josh Hartnett of all people, who's an actor that I've loved and have not seen too much from lately, being kind of this really popular Hollywood guy that they're going to try to use as a pawn in this little espionage thing. So it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So if he keeps the hot streak that he's been on for the past couple of movies for me, this is yet again going to be another one of my favorite movies of the year. Number 6, going on through the long list of comic book movies now. Number 6 is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Is that what it's called? Yes. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So I was a big fan of the original Aquaman. I love that movie more than most people. I've enjoyed most of the DC movies, so I'm definitely a fan as it is, but I just like the style of that movie. I like the balance of the cool and the mythic and the epic and the kind of rock star attitude that Jason Momoa brings with the campy goofiness. I think that James Wan found a nice balance with that, and I'm typically somebody that can get very critical quick on campy goofiness, but for whatever reason it worked for me in that movie. So I'm really looking forward to this second film. Seeing Aquaman, now he's full-on King of Atlantis, he's in his role, you got Black Manta presumably coming back, and that's going to finally be a huge confrontation. You got King Orm coming back into the fold too, and now it's not going to be so much where he's a villain, but probably working with Aquaman. So there's a lot of story progression from the first film that I'm just really looking forward to seeing where they're going to take the character. Number 5 is Thor, Love and Thunder. Now, I'm somebody that really likes the original Thor. I think it's a very underrated MCU movie, and I think that Thor: The Dark World is more entertaining than people give it credit for, though it's definitely one of the lesser MCU films, and I absolutely loved Thor Ragnarok. So I'm on somebody that, especially after the Avengers movies back to back, I think that Thor is one of the most badass characters in the MCU, and so I'm very curious what they're going to do with this movie. You got Taika Waititi coming back, so that energy, that style from Ragnarok will be returning. Plus you've got Jane becoming like she-Thor or female Thor, I forget, whatever the hell the name is. I'm sure there's a comic book name for it, but the female version of Thor. She's going to come in, and I'm just curious how that's going to play into the storyline too, because the Earth characters have always been the Achilles heel of the Thor movies, and I'm curious how they're going to possibly change or rectify that in this one. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to get. Number 4 is a movie that, aside from Avatar 2, I'm most morbidly curious about, and that is The Flash. This has been a movie that has been in development hell for what seems like forever. It's gone through multiple directors, multiple iterations. It felt like it was never going to happen. Well, now it's going to happen. It's been shot. It's in production right now. It's supposed to be coming out this year. And all that I really know about this movie is that it's going to do something with time travel, possibly taking on the Flashpoint storyline, most likely to erase the DCEU properties that they don't want to deal with anymore, a la pretty much anything that Zack Snyder touched, unfortunately. And you have Ben Affleck's Batman, and you have Michael Keaton's Batman in here. To what degree, I don't know, but just them being here is enough to excite me. So I like the character of the Flash. I like what Ezra Miller has done with it, especially in the Zack Snyder version of Justice League, but I'm not in love with his take on the character yet, so I'm definitely optimistic about what he can do. I think it's very strange that WB kind of just swept his whole controversy under the rug when they've literally killed other people's careers for much less. But that being aside, I'm very morbidly curious on whether or not this movie is going to be the great first chapter for the rest of the DCEU as we know it, or if it's going to piss me off with what it does to the previous version of the DCEU. Number 3 is Mission Impossible 7. Now, I don't know if they're still filming these back to back. Obviously, COVID probably messed that up, but 7 and 8 are going to be one story. So these are essentially going to be one gigantic plot line with the same villains probably. So it's a very ambitious decision to take for the Mission Impossible franchise, and these movies have done nothing but get better. Now, admittedly, I love the 4th one the most, but from 3 onward, these movies have just stepped up their game continuously to the point where Mission Impossible Fallout, I understand why everybody says that's like the greatest Mission Impossible and one of the best action movies of all time, and it's certainly very close to my favorite, which is number 4. And so getting Christopher McQuarrie back, who did both part 6 and part 5, and getting him to do this next 2 movies, the fact that they planned out this whole storyline and they're going a lot more ambition with the plot and with the villains, and maybe even trying to wrap out this series in a nice little 2-chapter conclusion, I'm not quite sure, but the fact that there's another Mission Impossible coming is enough for me. But adding in all those extra details of how epic this is probably going to be, I can't wait to see what they're doing. Number 2 is going to be Creed 3. Now, I am a fanatic of the Rocky franchise. I love the original films, and I've also loved these 2 Creed films. It was one of those properties that when they announced Creed, it was kind of like when they announced Cobra Kai. On paper, I was like, that's a horrible idea. What the hell are you doing? And then I saw it and went, thank God I was wrong. This is fucking awesome. I loved Creed. Creed 2 was damn good. And Creed 3, despite the fact that I'm, on the bittersweet end of Rocky not being a part of it, they've already announced that. Sylvester Stallone's not going to be a part of this movie. The fact that he can go off on his own story now and not be tethered to Rocky is certainly intriguing enough for me to kind of forgive that as a Rocky fan. But I'm very curious because Michael B. Jordan's supposed to be taking over directing duties of this. And so I want to see what he can do as a director. I want to see what he can do with him being the visionary for this 3rd film, and seeing what he can do with his own character and bringing this story to life with him behind the camera and in front of the camera. And I'm just morbidly curious what they're going to do with the story, because unless they're going to do something obvious like have him fight Clubber Lang's son, I don't know exactly where they're going to take his character now that they've done the origin story, now that they've done the redemption story with Drago's son. I really don't know what is left to tell, and I'm very, very anticipating seeing what that story is. But by far, by a landslide, by a country mile, my number 1 is easily the Batman. I am a Batman whore. Batman has always been my number 1 comic book character. I have loved a lot of the iterations on screen and have not loved a lot of the iterations on screen. I was heartbroken to find out that Ben Affleck was done with what at the time was my favorite version of Batman, his take. But ever since Matt Reeves took over, who is a director that I love for the Apes films and his version of Let the Right One In called Let Me In, and the fact that they've gotten an awesome cast, and I am somebody that was very positive on the casting of Robert Pattinson even before the trailers came out and made all you guys that hated him change your minds and act like you never hated him. I've always been on board for that, but the trailers have been fucking incredible to this movie. Just the Batman in like this Seven style murder mystery detective tale, that is what I have wanted for a very long time. That is the element of Batman that I feel like has not really been translated to screen yet or have been done very well, and it feels like this is going to be the one to truly do it. So if the movie is even 3/4 as amazing as the trailers have been, this might be the best Batman movie of all time. So I cannot wait to see it. I pray to God it does not get delayed, because that will be the first movie to get delayed in this first quarter of 2022, if anything. But without already giving it the trophy, my mind has pretty much already made up that as long as this is on par with the quality that I'm hoping that it's going to be, this will be my favorite film of 2022. Easy. So what do you guys think? What is your top 10 most anticipated movies of 2022? I know that there's some on here that I have not put on that everybody is absolutely freaking out about, like Top Gun Maverick. I've just never been a big Top Gun fan, so I will be there to see it, but I'm not anticipated on the level of some of you guys. So what are some movies like Top Gun Maverick that I have not put on my list? that you are chomping at the bit for? Let me know down below in the comments section. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my most anticipated video games tomorrow, as well as the rest of my Cobra Kai content coming at the rest of this week and all the other things that I have planned for 2022. Thank you guys for watching as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.